Okay, guys. So in the beginning of this stream, we had some actual real technical difficulties kind of going on, and something very important that I said was cut out. So before I pop the edit up on YouTube, here's what I want to say. I am not explaining my worth to anyone who is committed to misunderstanding it. And with that, let's get into the video that we had for the stream today. All right. Hey, chat. This is going to be a little bit different than a podcast. I've decided, well, I'm just going to create whatever kind of content that I need to create. Basically. Am I coming through okay, Logan? Because I played too much Fortnite today, so if I hold it, you'll have to tell me if it's better, Logan, okay? Is that better? Okay, cool. All right, so obviously, here's what's going to happen, chat. So I want to share resources and I want to do things on this stream, and then we're going to have the Gulf Coast, healing podcast, which is where I want to share, like different various things that just helped in my healing. But also I want to be able to share my experiences, and I think I kind of want to separate the two. So as I share my experiences, I have, as you all know, I've talked about the fact that I have a father diagnosed with official NP. Okay, but from now on, I am just going to list the experiences that I have by subject name. So for all intents and purposes today, we're going to be talking about subject A. Okay. Now, I'm not going to claim or state that this person has, in fact, is in fact a narcissist, as I am not qualified to do that. Okay. But what I am going to share is information and resources that based in science, coupled with my personal experiences. Okay. The experiences I'm going to share today with y'all right now in this video is going to all be in regards to subject A. I'm going to make sure I put up on the website so that, just little bits of information that may be pertinent that are still protecting and maintaining, just for the purpose so that I can show and demonstrate how the science, that's what I'm really going for, chat. Here's the deal. I want to provide you guys, here's my experience, here's what I know, and here's what I've done. Because this is a real thing. But I have to be very careful because, we all know if you're here to really find help for something like narcissistic emotional abuse, then I don't have to explain to you why I'm covering my ass right now. So that's where we're at. Now, I want to share a little bit. I'm going to play this. And Logan, if you could check it to make sure that the browser audio, we're going to mute the bar. And then Logan, if you can check the browser audio because it might be too loud. So go here. But I'm just going to play some of this.
The narcissist cycle after you go silent. You finally stopped explaining yourself. You finally stopped overgiving. You finally went silent. And guess what?
What?
Silence isn't empty. It's powerful. It's disruptive. It makes noise in a narcissist world. But here's the thing. Nobody tells you when you go silent, they don't just disappear. They enter a cycle, a desperate, manipulative cycle.
Now, just to be clear, subject A had not spoken. We had nothing had been initiated, no contact on his behalf. Now, I did the chasing that you expect if you've, gone victims of this kind of stuff. Especially when things are shut down, just cold, okay? They go into kind of a spiral thinking they did something wrong. And I was already struggling because I had been diagnosed with CPT and complex trauma. But they will go into this spiral, they'll go into chasing, they'll find themselves begging, even if they have been one of the most strongest, people who know their self-worth before this. You will find that it's almost like you have lost all control of your emotional sense of regulation. You're behaving in manners that you wouldn't have any, you're not behaving in ways you don't understand why it's getting to you. Okay. And so anyways, I just have come to the end of a 7-month, nope, not talking to you anymore and I'll get to, so how that happened. And here's how the 7 months no contact really started. I mean, again, guys, I kind of went like psycho female in a lot of ways, because I lost control. I can see how people just lose their shit because it just feels it's an extremely radically shocking experience, really. Okay. But so here's what happened. Basically we had been having words. Subject A tells me no matter how bad I think he is, I still owed him money. And it was a good amount, and I don't think he anticipated that I would be able to pay him. So my response was that I paid my debt, that I know that I owed him in full. And so subject A says to me, of course, you think it's all about the money. Now, just so you know, Chad, I had a thing about not taking help, especially in financial forms from anybody. It made me extremely uncomfortable. And of course he knew that. So, give me a second. Okay, I'm sorry. Hopefully, Logan, you're gonna have to check that again because my throat is so dry from streaming all day with IG. So I kind of at this point, he tells me, of course, you would think it's all about the money when I say, there, you're paid. Now you don't have to talk to me, kind of thing. And he says, of course, you would think it's all about the money, and proceeds to tell me at some point that I just ruin lives. Okay, and my immediate reaction is, oh my god, I can never speak to you again. Of course, I couldn't stick to that. I didn't stick to that. I should have stuck to that. That's the real truth. So, all right, let's keep listening here.
That says more about them than it ever did about you. And if you don't understand this cycle, you'll think you're the one going crazy. You'll think you should respond. You'll think you're the bad guy. You're not. You're free. And this is what happens next. Shocked they never thought you'd do it. They built their power off one assumption that you'd never leave. That no matter how many times they ignored your feelings, crossed your boundaries.
So, recently, just in the last week, I've been doing all the therapy because I had chased nearly weekly at first. Okay. And then it was monthly. And then the longest I had gone is 6 weeks. But I really got into getting help. I joined support groups. I started studying the psychological effects of my behavior. Why was I behaving the way I was? Why was I reacting this way? And I worked on those things and I fixed it and I decided I'm done. No more contact, no contact. But not without I'm done kind of message, that that final goodbye. All right, peace out, bro. Like, my closure, I'm out of here. And so, almost right away, subject A ends up emailing me for the first time, and now he wants to say something, and he texted me and emailed me the message to make sure I would get it because he doesn't know. He's going to assume I blocked him. I'm sure. Whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter. So he does this, and I decide, no, I'm done. I said I'm done. I'm going silent. And it was, justifiable, very believable upset that he expressed, in the first half because he's right. I have behaved in a manner that, you could turn around and justify, like distance and whatnot, but we never had the conversation that was missing. So although he may be right and justified in his opinions and his thoughts in this regard, his responses and how it was handled is one of the most incredibly immature things that I think I have ever experienced in life. And it just absolutely blew my mind because here's the truth, folks. People tell you they care about you, but if they do, when you're hurting and you express that, they're going to show empathy. They're not going to withhold affection because maybe they're done caring. And that's okay too. I'm not saying it, but they're not going to turn around and tell you that they care. If they do, they're not going to withhold affection, and they're going to care if you are hurting. So just remember that. That's really important. So anyways, within, I don't even know, I'd have to go back and look, and I'm not going to calculate this shit. But I went, I think it was, all I know is that it's something like I think it was only 3 or 4 messages. But it was over the course. I thought it was 6 days. I guess it was 3 days from this moment. Every single thing that psychologists and everybody say, this is what's going to happen if you do this. Okay, just from the smear campaign to the I've told everybody everything to but the thing is that it was my birthday, as you all know, this weekend. I totally anticipated receiving a message. Of course I did. Here's what caught me off guard. And I'm going to talk more about this later. Let me I've got a lot of notes in front of me. But I expected it to be with like, I know you probably don't care, or I'm not the person you want to hear this from, or even though you don't deserve it, happy birthday. But instead, I got what was like just a simple, respectful, happy birthday message. And I'm not going to lie, chat, I got really emotional for a minute because I actually was really counting on the nastier side of things. And, anytime that it's going to defy it, defy the patterns that I'm supposed to expect, that makes me go, well, maybe I can be wrong. But nope, that would be wrong because, so I decided he knows that I have a thing about saying thank you and that I like to, it's a thing. And not to mention, I mean, I think at least 10 years of our friendship, we spent my birthday together, hung out. At least, over the course of our friendship, it has to have been close to that many. So anyways, I see it and I'm like, I get scared because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hope that he can learn something new. I don't want to hope that. That is dangerous territory. When I go back to think about saying thank you and see, nope, takesy backsies. He deleted the message. Never mind. I don't get to have a happy birthday probably because I waited very, very long time in order to respond. So, naughty me, whatever. I don't deserve to be happy on my birthday. Whatever. Here's the deal. Of all the messages that he could have chosen to take back, okay? He doesn't take back the emotional, erratic ones where he's, basically telling me that I'm just a lying, twisting, whatever I am. All the horrible things, just a horrible human being that it just talks, the way that I am doing things in life right now just completely talks about, what kind of person I am. And so far up until this point, all I've done is literally pull from the internet and share a little bit of my experience and a whole lot of facts about narcissism and narcissistic and healthy communication and narcissistic emotional abuse. So I even started with healthy communication. Let's assume that, subject A doesn't know how to healthily communicate. Maybe he's unaware that how his communication skills are working is not a healthy dynamic. So before I say anything, let's put that information out there and say, hey, here are some ideas of how you can healthily communicate. Okay. Then next day, I share the facts about just what I have experienced with and what my symptoms are, because I had to finally accept that I have suffered from this. Okay. So I'm sharing that, and I'm sharing minimal experiences again, but everything has been turned into I'm trying to attack him, or I am trying to, I guess probably most likely what it really truly is, damaging his image. But here's the deal. I am not going to stay silent. I have felt like hell to get through this. And I have now learned how to recognize, watch for the signs, and see how they show up. And if subject A is going to continue to act in a manner that demonstrates that this is the way it is, I'm going to do this because this is my healing journey. This is my thing. And if he cared so much what I thought, then, the 7 months of, what is that? The discard stage, probably shouldn't have happened. I've been underestimated. That'd be the real problem. So we're going to talk about this because Mel talks a lot in here. This is, again, Mel Robbins, and I'm going to put the link in because I'm not going to listen to the whole thing, but her resources are absolutely, they go across a whole lot of stuff. She is my favorite resource for just generalized self-help, mental health, get yourself on track help, love yourself help, understanding yourself in all of those things. So I'll go ahead and we're going to just watch a couple more minutes.
Boundaries, twisted your words, you'd stay. They bet on your silence, but the kind of silence they expected wasn't this. Not the kind that removes your energy, not the kind that locks the door from the inside. When you go quiet, it doesn't register at first. They assume it's temporary, a mood, a game, something you'll bounce back from like you always did. Because they think they know you better than you know yourself. They believe they programmed you to keep showing up. But then the silence lingers. And that's when the shock starts to seep in. It's not just that you're quiet, it's that you're unreachable. Emotionally, mentally, energetically. You've unplugged the cord they used to feed on. And it stuns them. because silence is power, and you're finally using it. You see, they never took your silence seriously because they never believed you had limits.
So this would be why all of a sudden we takesy backsy a birthday message because, I stayed silent for too long and I couldn't even say thank you. And of course, I've lost a subscriber on YouTube and I haven't even checked Twitch because it's not like I care. Let them watch, let them not watch, let them think I'm out to have, some sort of aggression, let them completely miss the point that they could be using what I am doing to, self-improve. And that would be the only thing but most psychiatrists, psychologists, science in general, there are not very many that believe that if somebody actually has official narcissistic personality disorder, which again, I wouldn't qualify to, provide or offer a diagnosis of such. But I have experience with someone who has been, we'll call him subject B, which will be my father. But I've had enough of this experience that here's what I can say. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. Okay, that's just the way it goes. If it's quacking, it's there. So the behaviors that are being exhibited match up with it almost followed it. And at some point, maybe I will share certain, I have to be careful because I wouldn't want to share, just certain portions because then, whatever I'm omitting, whatever I may be omitting, I wouldn't want to leave anything to question, but I have to be very careful how I share what I am demonstrating. And now I did this when I started this chat. Here's the thing. I was really going to be careful because, I don't have to prove anything, but here's the deal. You can read all of this stuff and you can hear all of these things, but while you're experiencing it, it all feels very differently. And how you react to people who are behaving in these manners is some areas it's very black and white and very easy to understand. In other areas, however, you might feel it can just get very, very confusing in how these behaviors seem to cycle and go. So I think he had hit 4 of the literal cycles of what will happen if you stop, if you decide you're done. And even though they've been treating you silent, like I said, I hadn't heard anything in 7 months. Even though they've treated you silent, once you say you're done and they believe it, excuse me, it went right through the checklist that is provided in all the research. And I'm trying to get some of these resources together so that I can put them up on our website so that if you need to see it, I'm also all about those good health workbooks. So we're going to see what we can get together. But my whole goal in what I am doing right now is going to be to shed a light on this because this has been just I can't believe it. I can't believe the emotional roller coaster that this has taken me on. And on that note, so of all the messages he could have taken back, he took back the only one that because he didn't know I had seen it, but he took back the only one that I thought he showed an ounce of respect to me. Okay? And then probably got mad. So here is what I'm going to say. He's right. I have a thing. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And this is going to be the last time that I'm ever going to address, respond, or acknowledge you within my content creation on this kind of level. I am done. It doesn't matter. Let them say that I am, twisting things. Let them say that I'm lying. Let them say everything. What I am going to be doing and what my whole life has been about, and I have never faltered in it, is a level of authenticity and wanting to help people. And I will not sit silently after beating my way through hell and be quiet because of whatever. I am not ashamed. I know what I have done. There's nothing anybody can say. Now, I will be nice and I will respect a lot of it. But if you think that you are significant enough to me that I am coming over here right now just to tear your life apart, well, honey, you are not that important to me. I am thinking about all the possible thousands to millions of people who have gone through the pain and the suffering that I have experienced and how I can help them. So it sure the hell isn't about you. Okay, so as I was saying, chat.
They mistook your kindness for weakness. your patience for permission, and your love for surrender. But they were wrong, because silence is what happens when someone runs out of words to justify being disrespected. That silence becomes a mirror. One.
And there you have it, chat. I have run out of words to justify the level of disrespect, and it won't be tolerated. So here's what we're going to do. I wanted to share this because this has all happened to me throughout just the weekend. Like, of course, you know, I don't have to tell most of the people who are going to be finding this video how holidays, birthdays, and things of that nature typically go down. And so, you know, it doesn't need a whole lot of explaining. If people are ending up over here and they're looking at my podcast or they're looking at the content I'm creating, they're looking for support, they're looking for help. And not everybody wants to talk about it because it is a very personal thing. And that's why, since I've already a content creator and I've always been a writer and I've always shared my pain in order to try to see if I can help the rest of the world, well then, guys, I got hurt and I'm going to share with you how the fuck I recovered and how awesome I am now because of it. And nobody is going to stop me from doing it. So, with that being said, make sure you go check out. This video is by Mel Robbins. Her motivation, and it is what happens when you go silent on a narcissist. So if you want more information on what to expect, I can tell you right now, checklist. This was followed to a T, which made me so incredibly sad. The only thing I was surprised about is I didn't get a backhanded birthday wish. I got one that I thought was going to emulate respect. So naturally, it was deleted. This is a very hard thing to navigate, chat. It brings a lot of pain. It brings a lot of rumination. It's exhausting. So when I can, however I can, my plan on this channel, on Twitch and both YouTube, will be to share my experiences, what I've learned, and any resources that have taught me so that you too can recover. Because quite honestly, it's been the hardest thing I've had to survive. Making choices, knowing how to stand your ground, loving yourself enough to do it. And most importantly, the number one key is beating all your insecurities. So when they get hurled at you, like calling yourself an honest person and being called a liar, or knowing that you've worked your whole life to try to help people and being told that you ruin lives, or anything of that nature, it'd be the things that either you love the most about yourself, or it's going to be the things that you question that are open wounds that can be attacked like that. And it is, make no mistake, chat, it is only a method to try to shut down. And there is a lot of power in silence. And so, you know, not everybody has to go out there and have a word, but I have never been a person to keep my mouth shut and doesn't like the story. If subject A doesn't like the story I'm telling, then he's always had a choice to behave differently and better in it. And that's not my problem anymore, nor is it my responsibility to protect. But what I can do is say, hey, here's the behavior I encountered. I'm not trying to say I've been so good. I'm so whatever. No, I was very upset with myself that I couldn't just walk away easily. And yeah, sure, by all accords, everybody could look at that and be like, oh my God, she wouldn't leave him alone. Fine. Got your wish. I have no intention of ever bothering anyone again. But it took me a lot to work through that. And it leads to depression, anxiety. Being treated this way by somebody can really mess with your mentality and your life. And everybody deserves to be happy and healthy. And if the information I can provide in what I'm doing is going to do that, there is nothing in this world that is going to stop me from doing exactly that. So, you guys are going to probably be able to see my notes from these like podcasts because I write down notes and whatever. Some of it I may decide not to cover and whatnot, but I will be putting it up in a blog format over on our narcissistic resources portion of the website at sirenstories.com. It's late. I had a birthday weekend and we got to figure out how we're going to do the podcast tomorrow still because I don't want to bring all this attention. This is the last my energy is getting this. I want to bring resources. I want to talk about the behaviors and I want to talk about how they affected me and I don't need to talk about subject A anymore. Take care of yourself, chat. Have a great night.